Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another quick pick prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the welterweight bout between Tyron Woodley versus Vicente Luque. So look at this one right now. Right now the odds have Luque is a favorite, are too big of a favorite for what he deserves. I mean, Luque is a solid guy. I've been following for a while. I've been high on him for a while. Always rated him as one of the best strikers in this division right now, or at the time, so like top 5 strikers. And I love his style, I love his fighting, and slick jiu-jitsu as well, offensively. And this was a solid dude. So I was watching him on the come up. But so just looking at things, I should lean to him, but really looking deeper now, I gotta look at it and just evaluate it for what it is. So now I'm gonna make it as short and as possible I can, to make it as clean as possible I can and concise as possibly as I can with this one. But Luque, one thing for sure, one good thing for him or on his side is that two other guys from this, or at least they have trained with him or have been in the same gym as him and being like blood brothers. Not like blood brothers for real, but like blood, sweat, and tears brothers in the gym with him. And Usman and Burns both have fought Willie and both have beat Willie dominantly. And they both had trained alongside those guys, so at least you can have people to lean on that can show you the recipe, blueprint on how to beat Woodley, if it is even needed or isn't obvious to at least some people who has the skill and ability to execute that game plan or game plans. So that's good on him, but I'm not going to lean to that, because one thing that's big difference between those guys is that they are high level strikers and high level grapplers. I mean, Luque has high level some high level jiu-jitsu, but he's not a high level wrestler. Like, Gil Burns has that wrestling edge to him as well. Like, he can real fast, real explosive, got some good wrestling, offensive wrestling technique. Whereas Luque, he really just a pure striker. At times he could mix in some takedowns, but his takedown offense isn't the best. That's just cut and dry. It's not the best. When he's attacking you and like really wearing you down, he has some good darts and guillotine chokes and real good submissions. But off his back, he's not really a super big threat off his back. Or I'm just saying overall, he's not a super good offensive wrestler. And yeah, like, so in that aspect where he's a multi-level threat, he's really just going to be a striker in the fight against Willie, and Willie's going to be the multi-level threat. He's going to be the guy that has the rest opportunities. And we've seen is Vicente Luque is supposed to be so good, he's favored so much in this fight, and really they just saying, oh, because Willie is declining, that, oh, let's just put money all on Luque. But Luque supposed to be this and that right now, but he allowed Mike Perry off. Mike Perry's not a bad fighter, but he's definitely not an A-class fighter. He's like a C-class or D-class fighter. And he allowed Mike Perry to have like 3 minutes and 40 seconds of control time in their fight. In that third round, like slipped and got on top of him, was able to control him and make that fight very close. Yes, he landed that stepping knee or flying knee on him, broke his nose, but it still was a very close fight and went to a split decision. He destroyed Nico Price the first time he fought, but last time he fought, it was a very, very close fight, a real close fight. And if it had went to decision, it probably would have been another split decision victory for Luque. So Luque is fighting these C-tier and D-tier fighters and having a hard time with them. And even against, like, what was he, Derek Krantz or something? C-tier, D-tier fighter cracked him. Like, he's not fighting the best competitions at times, and still facing a lot of adversity. Not fighting no super stellar wrestlers or super stellar talents, and facing adversity, what I mean, grappling, like against Mike Perry at time, that third round, 3 minutes and 40 seconds of control time, like top control, gave up that. Then gave up takedowns to Krantz, and gave up takedowns to even Randy Brown, who's like a C-tier, D-tier talent. Probably was expected to be a B-tier or A-tier talent, but really riding that C-tier talent right now is Randy Brown. Good performance, but still, you shouldn't be giving up takedowns to Randy Brown at this level. If you're supposed to be a guy that has any hopes of being a champion, you should not be giving up takedowns to Randy Brown at this moment. Probably ever, but yeah. So look at that control time. I look at how Vicente Luque. It's no secret that Vicente Luque take a lot of shots he shouldn't take. He take a lot of heavy shots, and he doesn't have the best shot. He got a good heart, so it's like he has like a glass in that you tap, he'll go to sleep, but he will get buzzed, will get rocked, and will have to recover. And he gets tagged a lot in these fights, so his defense isn't the best. It's not. Head movement not really there, but his offensive striking, very vicious, very versatile striking. But again, a one layer threat. He's a striker. That's it. He's not going to be trying to take him down like say Kobe Covington, going to throw 1,000 strikes, shoot 1,000 takedowns. Usman gonna shoot 500 takedowns, throw 1,000 strikes, and with more power than Covington. So like a Covington with not as much cardio, not as high a pace, but hit harder, probably more technical, and Usman and physically stronger than the Covington. You got Gilbert Burns, who has a BJJ world champion, explosive, heavy hands, can wrestle and got top tier BJJ. You got Luque, some solid BJJ, but not top tier. Some top low striker, but definitely not the best striker. He fought two of the other best strikers in this division, and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson got dominated. Full Leon Edwards practically got dominated at a large portion of that fight. So every time he fought, and only people he has not beat a standout. He beat some names, well, Mike Perry and some other guys that kind of have some names or semblance of names. But anytime he fought a guy that was standout, like Leon Edwards, lost. Pretty clear it was. Then Wonderboy Thompson dominated him. So anytime he fought somebody with a name or somebody that was really credible, he lost. And he has a record built on beating C-tier competition. So anytime he stepped up, he lost. And that stands out more than anything. And the fact that he's giving control times to these guys that aren't wrestlers, it says something. The fact that he's hittable. Yes, he probably those 3-to-1 strikes in compared to ratio to Woodley, but Woodley does good. Like, well, let's look at Woodley track. Where anytime he fought a guy that's only been trying to strike with him, that was when he performs best, when he's fighting guys that's one-dimensional. When he's fighting one-dimensional grapplers, I'm not saying Luque is one-dimensional, but as far as his threats that he really presents to Woodley, it's one-dimensional. Like, he can present threats to lower tier competition, but outside what he presents to Woodley is just his striking and his pace. And when this guy, like, say, he fought Till was supposed to be this and all that, and Till just presented striking. Woodley shut Till out. I mean, yeah, he shut Till out on the feet, dropped him, took him that. Well, I don't think he got taken out, but he dropped him, like, outstruck him, then dropped him and submitted him. And I'm not saying he's gonna do that to Luque, but I think he will be able to find takedowns on Luque, get control time on Luque. We'll be able to find those openings down the middle, because Luque just fights with his hands up, like that window right there, and like he blocks the best or moves his head. So Willie should be able to explode, find those openings, whether it be him pushing the pace or him just leaning on the cage waiting for Luque to open up, and he will be open up, and he'll be open pretty much all day like he 7-11. And Willie will be able to find that power. If it's been a 3-round fight and not a 5-round fight, I feel like Willie will be more open to let his hands go. And when he letting those hands go, he mixing it up. It's always going to blend together to allow him to find success in both his wrestling and his striking. I don't think he stops Luque, but I do think he probably drops Luque like one time, gets some takedowns, controls him, and maybe a couple close calls where he's close to finishing Luque, but Luque is able to grind it out, find some heart, and just dig deep and stick in this fight. Probably a fun, exciting fight, surprisingly to a lot of people, but Woodley being one fully in control and winning the decision, like using his full skill set. So in this one, I got Tyron Woodley via decision.